Game developers are always looking for innovation, a unique angle, a fresh spin, something novel that allows their games to stand out from their peers and competitors. To stand out as a fighting game in the early months of the Sega Dreamcast launch, where 8 of the first 29 games, over a quarter of the total output to that point, were in the fighting genre, you really have to do something distinctive. Psychic Force 2012 has got distinctive figured out. The problem with Psychic Force 2012 is not that it isn't unique, it is. The problem with Psychic Force 2012 is that it truly, unabashedly, all-encompassingly sucks shit. Psychic Force 2012's singular sell is that its fighters are floating around in a nominally three-dimensional space instead of walking towards each other to battle. This seems novel until you realize that unlike something like Power Stone, which puts its characters in vivid, fully realized 3D spaces to brawl in, Psychic Force 2012 is rigidly two-dimensional left and right, as well as being trapped in a sort of large, bland, clear case, like fighting in the skybox of a skyscraper with the gravity turned off. Also, the flying is so cumbersome and inexact that it really tries to lean on each character having these sort of magic projectiles. And it becomes clear almost immediately that the game has absolutely nothing to say past that. Technically, it has a lot to say, but so little of it reaches the actual gameplay. Psychic Force 2012 is a sequel to 1996's Psychic Force for the Sony PlayStation, a game Wikipedia describes as released without much hype and not commercially successful. Nevertheless, a sequel was made. As you might remember when it really happened back in 2010, the year we made contact, Psychic Force delves deep into a sort of shitty knockoff X-Men narrative about a realm of people born with psychic abilities who are referred to across the board as psychicers, who are being shunned for their powers. The primary protagonist is an American man named Burn, who coincidentally can shoot psychic fire. He's searching for his old friend, a British man named Keith, who looks like this, and wants to do Magneto stuff, namely creating a utopia for psychicers and killing anyone who stands in his way. There's also a Chinese psychicer named Dr. Wong who wants to kill Burn and Keith and conquer the world generally. So, you know. Psychic Force 2012's overarching plot is basically identical to the first game's, in a very getting the band back together sort of way, other than Dr. Wong trying to conquer the world, again, by forming a third faction called the Army. There's also all kinds of other random characters going on, including an American soldier with cybernetic enhancements who is now a reborn cyborg, a German man with split personalities named Brad, and hilariously, each game has a character who is specified as a Japanese Yamabushi monk/priest who uses Shugendo religious magic in battle. But they are entirely unrelated and have absolutely nothing to do with one another, but have such similar plot arcs that Wikipedia just says, quote, much like the character from the first game, the guy in the second game, ... feels exactly the same way. I'm glad I read all this on Wikipedia before playing the games, because almost none of this actually makes it to the screen in either game. Most of the in-game interactions are limited to typical canned brags and boasts. Almost all of the actual communicated plot actually seems to come from a 2-episode OVA, produced between the releases of the two games, but the games themselves add almost nothing to the proceedings. In fact, even in action, all of these characters and powers play basically identically, and all of the variety of power elements mostly just do the same shit in the same ways. The mechanics in this game are actually so broken that there's basically no reason to even engage in hand-to-hand combat at all. The projectiles are so powerful and so plentiful that you can mostly find success by just smashing the 2 fire buttons over and over, and never attempting even the slightest punch or kick. The combat in this game is so bad, in fact, that on the story mode, I was literally playing the game with one hand. because strategy or even motion was almost entirely unnecessary. I read a retrospective interview with the creators of this game as part of a 20th anniversary celebration, and they seem like nice guys who tried really hard to make an interesting game, and I love that they were trying something new in a genre that has a lot of trouble with innovation or freshness compared to how many games they release. But Psychic Force 2012 was, for me, a miserable experience, and maybe the least fun I've had on this project up till now. Innovation can be hugely important, but also can only take you so far. And then it's up to execution. And unfortunately for Psychic Force 2012, their execution sends this game straight to the gallows. Next time, are you ready?